Now, we'll talk about exception handling in C#. We'll cover the fundamentals like try-catch blocks, multiple catch blocks, the finally block, throwing exceptions, and even custom exceptions. So, let's talk about try-catch blocks first. In C#, exceptions are unexpected errors that disrupt the flow of a program. The try-catch block is the fundamental way to handle exceptions. The try block contains the code that might throw an exception, while the catch block handles it. Like here, I have a string message. Then I created the try-catch block. Inside try block, I tried to convert this string into integer format. This will cause an error or exception. Now to handle the exception, I created the catch block, and inside it, I set it to catch exception and also made object of it. Inside it, I printed the error message. This message will only show up when there's an exception in our code, otherwise this block would not run. Now run this program. Our error message is printed here. This way, we handled the exception and also our program didn't crash unexpectedly. Now, let's talk about multiple catch blocks. You can handle different types of exceptions separately using multiple catch blocks. This is useful when different actions are required for different errors. Like here, I have an array with some data inside it. Inside try block, I tried to access the 5 element of the array which does not exist in this array. So, it would cause index of bound exception. Next, I created a catch block and set it to catch index out of range exception. Inside it, I printed the exception message. Next, I created another catch block to catch any other exception. And inside it, I also printed the exception message. This way, we can create multiple exception for different types of exceptions. Now run the program. Here, index out of bound exception is captured and printed. Now, let's talk about finally block. The finally block contains code that always executes, regardless of whether an exception was thrown. It's often used for cleanup tasks like closing files or releasing resources. For example, we use it for database operation. In try block, we try to access the data. In catch block, we handle the possible exceptions, and in finally block, we close the database connection because we need to close it in any situation. Like here, I created a stream reader. Don't worry about it, we'll learn about it in upcoming section. In try block, I used it to read text file which does not exist. Next, I used read to end method to print the content of this file. Next, I created the catch block to catch and print the exceptions. Then I created finally block. Inside it, I used if statement to check if reader stream is not null. Inside it, I closed the reader stream. Because we have to close the stream in any case whether operation was successful or not. It guarantees resource management and cleanup operations. Now run the program. Here, exception message is printed because file we entered was not found. Now, let's talk about throwing exceptions intentionally. Sometimes, you may need to throw an exception intentionally to signal an error. You can use the throw keyword for this. It used to validate data or to enforce business logic. Like here, I have a method which takes integer parameter. Inside it, I used if statement to check if the age is less than 18. Inside it, I used throw keyword to throw new exception and also pass the exception message to it. Then I created try catch block and called this method inside try block and passed the argument which would cause the exception to arise. Next, I created the catch block and printed the exception inside it. Now run the program. Here, the message from the exception is printed. This way, we throw the exceptions intentionally. Next, let's talk about custom exceptions. C# allows us to create custom exceptions. You can define your own exception classes to represent specific errors in your application. This makes your code more meaningful and easier to debug. Custom exceptions make your error handling more specific and self-documenting. Like here, I created a age exception class which inherits from exception class. Inside it, I created a parameterized constructor and required string type message and parameter. And also passed this message parameter to base class using base keyword. Then I created a method which checks the age just like before, but this time throws different age exception which we just created. Then I created try catch block, and in try block, I called the custom exception method and passed argument to it. Then I created the catch block which handles the age exception. Inside it, I printed the exception message. Now run the program. Here, the custom age exception message is printed. This is how custom exceptions are created and handled. That's all for this section.